Welcome to the making of
Banana Hardwick, Private Detective.
How we made Banana Hardwick is different to how my films usually get made. Normally, I want to shoot something and so I max out a credit card and go shoot it. This time, Aaron and I got together and birthed a whole, what would you call it? An improv/sketch comedy production group, I suppose. Meet producer Aaron Douglas.
He's got two first names.
I met Aaron when we were both working on War for the Planet of the Apes, and we became fast enemies. At the start of this year, Aaron and I had lunch and decided we wanted to make some comedy shorts together. I would bring the equipment and technical expertise, and he would bring the talent. That spiraled into Aaron roping together about 20 of his filmmaking and comedy-orientated friends and colleagues to form the Wellington production group we called Bucket Hutt. The whole idea behind Bucket Hutt is that the roles would rotate between productions, so everyone would get to do the roles they are interested in, as well as try out new ones and help other people on their projects. At the first meeting, we all went over our interests and skill sets, and those who wrote brought scripts along for us to table read. We chose Banana Hardwick, written by Matt Carroll, as the first sketch to make. Banana Hardwick is a satirical comedy featuring 3 recurring but different acts. It was originally written for stage, but we adapted it for the screen. Pre-production. The cast and crew was entirely made up of bucket hutters, and Nyaki was the director of photography. The rest of pre-production was organising the costumes and props, which were mostly sourced within the group, and we did a few more readings of the script. Aaron put together a call sheet, and I made a storyboard. The location was again sourced within the group. Production.
Like just rolling around a bunch.
What if we just do like a jump cut? Like, so it's the same frame, but it cuts and you've got a different weapon, and then it just cuts and you've got a different weapon.
That's a great
cut, you're doing a different move, and the whole time he's aiming at you. The bulk of this, all the garage location, was shot in one day, and we also had part days for the intro scenes later on. We did a pre-light before the garage shoot, and at the start of the main shoot day, crew started to set up the rest of the equipment while Mo and the actors got into costume and makeup. I think the first turnover was about an hour and a half after crew call. The equipment we had was a combination of my stuff, Joel's stuff, and a few extra bits of rental gear. For audio, we used Matt's Zoom F6, which is great because it records 32-bit, so we could just rig up some mics and be confident that we were getting good audio. At this stage, I didn't own any timecode generators, so we had to slate everything. We filmed this on my trusty Blackmagic. Nyaki and I shared operating and focus pulling. I also rented a small dolly to get some nice movement with the camera. The script calls for a dance number at the end. This was something we didn't quite get to preparing in pre-pro, but the cast was confident that they could come up with something, so while the crew and I set up the scene for the third act, the cast went outside to choreograph the Russian dance. We were all suitably impressed with what they came up with. Acting! The intro scenes were shot at a later date with a smaller crew. There was a deleted outro scene that we tried to shoot, but it didn't quite make the cut, mostly due to the weather. It was going to be a burial scene for the banana that was murdered in the beginning. It was a joke at the expense of action films that ignore the significance of all the deaths they show. But ultimately, it was only ever to be shown here, half-made. Post-production. As mentioned in my previous behind-the-scenes video, this year I switched to Resolve for editing, and again I did the edit, sound design, and color grade all in Resolve. The visual effects, of which there are far too many, were all done in Nuke. Adding VFX to a film dramatically increases the time post-production takes, especially when one editor is doing everything, including VFX. I think post took about 3 times longer than pre-production and production combined. The visual effects was mostly for the muzzle flashes and the blood. I lent into the satirical nature of the piece for the blood, because if I had to track realistic entry and exit wounds, it would have taken me years. But I spared no detail on the muzzle flashes, even putting the reflection in Banana's glasses. A more subtle visual effect that I hope went unnoticed was we caught a shadow in the background of the opening shot. Given that this was quite a complex shot to pull off, it wasn't acceptable to me that we made a distracting mistake, so I painted out the shadow, or at least significantly reduced it. There were 2 pieces of music in this: the Banana Hardwick theme, and the Moscow song. Matt made the theme, and we never got the rights to the Moscow song, so unfortunately we won't be able to monetize the full upload of this. And the budget. I'm always interested in knowing how films were funded and budgeted. So I like to share those details about my films when I can, but for this, there was no budget. Everyone was donating their time to the project, and of the few expenses that did arise, it was covered by the person in charge of that department. I paid about $170 for equipment rental of C-stands, sandbags, tape, and some poly holders. I paid about $100 for the go-go dolly rental. I think Mo brought a couple of props. The costumes and makeup was sourced within the cast and crew. Aaron brought lunch, and my wife brought pizza for dinner, and that was about it. So that'll about do it for the making of Banana Hardwick. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
I am clearly realistic Russian stereotype with no stereotypes.
Oh, sorry, it's over there.
How much?
Just a wee bit.
I really think we've got to get the Oscar this time, boys.